Hello and welcome to our presentation entitled Evaluating Digital and Teacher Support, Student Engagement and Learner Satisfaction in a Flipped Engineering Mechanics Classroom. This is a collaboration among colleagues from the University of Glasgow Singapore, University of Glasgow, and the Singapore Institute of Technology. This study presents the design, implementation, and evaluation of a flipped engineering mechanics classroom model involving 180 first-year students in the mechanical and aerospace engineering program. This initiative is a pilot delivery of a blended learning approach for the SIT University of Glasgow programs in Singapore. The online learning materials include video lectures, online quizzes, readings, and discussion forums. The face-to-face components take place in the classroom after students have completed the online learning to evaluate students' perception of the learning environment. We will examine the digital and teacher support, which are anchored on foundations of self-determination theory. Assessment of outcomes involves evaluating student engagement and learner satisfaction.
Hello, my name's Gareth and I'm going to talk to you about the design of the learning materials. I'm going to talk through the stages involved in designing the online materials. The first stage was analysis. This is where we looked at who the learners were and the assessments and intended learning outcomes. The next stage was learning design. In this stage, we ran workshops with our colleagues in Singapore and we introduced the ABC framework. We also focused on creating an online community. The next stage was development. The academic team provided us with storyboards and scripts in MS Word and PowerPoint, and this is what we worked from. There's a lot of work involved in producing an accessible online maths course. The next stage was implementation. We originally started developing the content in Moodle, but we had to move to the VLE which is used in Singapore based on Brightspace. One thing we learned from this is it doesn't really matter which tools you use because it's all about the design of the learning activities. The final stage was evaluation, and that's what my colleagues will be talking about in the rest of the presentation. I guess the biggest challenge in designing a course which contains a lot of maths material is sustainability. We really had to look at our workflow, workload allocation, and we also had to look at what support and training our colleagues in Singapore required.
Hello, I'm Jolly from University of Glasgow, Singapore, an instructor for this module. Today, I will discuss face-to-face interaction. First, let's discuss the setup for face-to-face interaction. Students initially engage with basic concepts through a virtual learning environment called SIT. Following this, they attended 2-hour face-to-face tutorials every alternate week in classroom. With a total enrollment of 180 students, they were divided into 4 groups, each comprising around 60 students. Within the group, students formed teams of 4 to 5 members to collaborate during tutorial sessions. Each session accommodated approximately 12 to 13 teams. The 2-hour tutorial class was divided into 4 parts. The first part was revision. Revision of the last 2 weeks' online lectures by the instructor using visual aid for 30 to 40 minutes. The second part was on hands-on activities for students to apply learned concept for 30 minutes. The third part was team-based discussion and solution finding for tutorial questions for around 45 minutes. And the fourth and last part was reviewing the students' answer to tutorial questions for 15 minutes. 5 such face-to-face tutorials were conducted throughout the trimester. Overall, this approach facilitated engagement and knowledge building among learners through teacher-facilitated activities, encouraging interaction among peers and within the instructor.
Hello, my name is Kenan and I'm going to talk to you about how we evaluated the blended learning design. The research question that we asked was, what are the percentage agreement levels of undergraduate students in terms of perceived task value, level of difficulty of module, workload, teacher and digital support, student engagement, and learner satisfaction within a blended learning environment? To address the research question, we adopted a cross-sectional survey design, where data on all variables were collected simultaneously and their relationships analyzed. The data were collected at a single time point during week 6 of the current trimester at the Singapore Institute of Technology, or SIT. Our participants were 122 Year 1 undergraduate students taking a joint engineering degree offered by University of Glasgow and SIT. The response rate was approximately 69.3%. There were 87.7% males and the remaining were females. Participants ranged in age from 19 to 27. 23% of the participants were from the Aerospace Engineering degree program, while the remainder came from the Mechanical Engineering degree program. Prior to the study, ethical clearance was obtained from SIT's Institutional Review Board, or IRB. Before administering the survey, a briefing about the purpose of the study was given by the research team. Students were assured that participation in the study was voluntary and that they could withdraw at any time. We used the online Qualtrics platform to obtain consent and administer the survey. On the first page of the survey, students indicated their consent to participate in the study. Participants then proceeded to answer the survey questions from page 2 onwards. About 15 minutes was set aside during class time for the students to complete the survey. These are the measures used in our survey. We used a 5-point Likert rating scale ranging from strongly disagree to strongly agree across all the measures in our survey. In total, there were 57 survey items and 5 social demographic items where students reported their gender, age, year of study, degree program, and module. The Crobux alpha values, a measure of internal reliability, was generally good to excellent across all measures. This slide displays the measures of task value, perceived teacher support, perceived digital support, and student engagement. This slide, on the other hand, shows the measures of learner satisfaction, perceived level of difficulty, and perceived workload. In analyzing the data, we used descriptive statistics where we computed the frequencies and percentage of agreement levels for each survey item.
This figure shows the percentage levels of agreement among the undergraduate students on their perceived teacher support for blended learning across 3 key psychological needs as defined by the self-determination theory: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. The highlighted percentages represents the proportion of students who responded with agree or strongly agree to each questions presented. For autonomy, the results indicate high levels of perceived autonomy. For competence, the results suggest that while this is slightly lower than autonomy, it is still high. For relatedness, the percentages are quite high, suggesting strong relatedness in blended learning environments. These results show positive perception of teacher support in the blended learning environment across the 3 measured needs. In this figure, the percentage levels of agreement on the perceived digital support are presented. The level of student agreement for autonomy is quite high. Relatedness shows lower levels of student engagement. It further shows that digital support is perceived to contribute most effectively to autonomy. In this figure, the results for student perception on engagement is presented. This measures the different aspects of student engagement across 4 categories: behavioral, cognitive, emotional, and agentic. There are higher levels of agreement for behavioral and cognitive engagement. Additionally, the lower levels of engagement are found in emotional and agentic engagement. The results indicate that while there is a strong behavioral and cognitive engagement, emotional engagement is comparatively lower. In this result, the student perception on learning satisfaction is presented. This assesses the satisfaction of levels across 4 categories of learning interaction: learner-content interaction, learner-instructor interaction, learner-to-learner interaction, and learning technology interaction, as well as an overall measure of general satisfaction. Highest satisfaction recorded for the learner-instructor interaction, and the lowest satisfaction recorded for the learner-technology interaction, suggesting a need to improve the technological support. In our study, we were able to show the importance of digital resources and teacher support in facilitating student engagement and satisfaction in a flipped classroom setting. The integration of self-determination theory provided valuable insights into the underlying psychological mechanisms driving student motivation and engagement. By evaluating the teacher support, digital resources, student engagement, and learner satisfaction, the study provides insights into designing and implementing effective flipped classroom models for engineering education. Thank you very much for your kind attention.